Travis, my good soul. So, somebody had sent me a picture of Sekhmet, and I was all excited. Because I'm the one who has discovered the location of Facsimile number 1. It's a real Egyptian temple. The Kamambo Temple in Egypt. And so, yes, Joseph Smith is correct with his translations. Despite Egyptologists and Mormon apologists caving to Egyptologists who say otherwise. It's sad. They claim to be in the field of science, and yet, in science, to do research, you have to look for patterns. Then you'll come across anomalies, and so then you have to soundly, which means use logic, not fallacy arguments, to develop a theory which must be testable, immediately testable, not hypothetically testable. If we find the missing plates, we can prove them. No, they must be immediately testable and be confirmed by running the tests. No bias can influence the results. You know, like who shot John Taylor? Janitor did it. And so, because using bias is a fallacy argument, it ruins your whole theory. It falsifies it. Whatever consequences you result, they're wrong. You got to redo the test and remove the biases. And so, looking for the patterns, after discovering a Mormon apologist who had figured out that the missing portion in Facsimile number 1, that was most likely eaten by rats, contained Horus as the falcon hawk. Lady hawk. But a male. And because of that, I then knew exactly who that was, where that was, which temple. Because there's only one, and only one, temple that is the temple of Sobek and Horus. Only one. The City of Gold, the Temple of Gold. Tales of the Gold Monkey. I enjoyed that show. I never thought I'd ever see it again. It was just one season, but I got it. I still need to watch it, but I got it. One of those rare shows that just disappeared, but I found it, and I got it, and I digitized it. And so, for Joseph Smith to give his explanation of it is accurate. For Joseph Smith to make it Facsimile number 1 shows that Joseph Smith is a translator. Because it wasn't necessarily in the right order. He put them in an order. And that order reveals to Mormons the dates of the 3 days of darkness of the latter days. Facsimile number 1 with Sekhmet, the lion couch. was the 21st of August, 2017, Monzon's birthday, and the ancient Egyptian religious calendar New Year. Which, yeah, it's the religious calendar, not the civil calendar, which means it's a different New Year every year. And for a solar eclipse to occur on a New Year, that only happens once. Just like the temple. The ancient Egyptians knew of the latter-day dates. And they wrote about it. And Joseph Smith knew it. And he wrote about it. And Mormons replaced them. And so they don't believe. And so the angel of the Lord in figure 1 is the Bob Bird. It helps navigate you into the afterlife, into the Amduat, where you'll be judged by the premortality council, premortal existence council, with the 12 stars on their head, not inverted pentagrams, stars pointing up. The Egyptians are the originator of the pentagram for a star. And so Abraham fastened upon an altar? Sure. If you understand how the Bible was written. They too came from the Egyptian documents. And so it's not actually Abraham in the Bible. It's sometimes Osiris, sometimes it's Horus. Depends on the story and the author. And so Joseph Smith is just doing exactly what the Bible authors did. The Jewish authors did in the learning of the Jews, language of the Egyptians. And so here we have the idolatrous priest of Elkanah, Samson's father, a Danite, Sun King. Not a coincidence why Joseph Smith put that in here. Attempting to offer up Abraham as a sacrifice. So yes, you can do that with the picture. It's translatable multiple ways. But Egyptologists don't know this. They think it's just the learning of the Greeks in the language of the Egyptians because of the Rosetta Stone. And that's why Mormon apologists cave to Egyptologists and throw Joseph under the bus. And so then the altar for sacrifice with Sekhmet. That's going to be the theme song in the description below in case you hadn't caught on. And so the gods of Elkanah, Libnah, Mamakra, Korash, Pharaoh. Yeah, sure. The sons of Horus. The 4 cardinal points of Earth and outer space. But Pharaoh, now, I can't believe they couldn't figure this one out. Sobek is the representation of Pharaoh, thus the god of Pharaoh. Joseph got it right. Quit complaining about he made up Hebrew words that he's using, because he had just learned Hebrew in 1835-6. The first guy bailed on him, so they had to get the other guy in 1836. And so that's why Rakiang in figure 12 is the way it's spelled instead of Rakia. It's because of Rabbi Sykes, who taught him Hebrew. It's in his alphabet and grammar. You can obtain that online, PDF version. And so it's merely the sky. But figure number 10. All Mormon apologists need to bow to Joseph Smith and apologize. Cover themselves in ash and sackcloth for their abomination. Abraham in Egypt. Not Ur of Babylon. Not Ur of the Sumerians. It's actually Uruk. Egypt. And like I said, it's Kam Ambo, the temple. That's where altars are. That's where sacrifice is performed. But not human sacrifice. And so this reveals some higher level learning stuff that we won't get into. With anachronisms and linguistics research, etc. But Abraham being on it, yeah. It's because the Sekhmet couch is for preparing the deceased for the afterlife. But wait, Abraham, is demonstrating that he's still alive. Is it the Humdai? Is that what they called it in the Mummy? Where you mummify a person, bury them alive with scarab beetles. And they come back from the dead as the zombie apocalypse. To make millions at the box office. And then be revised over and over again because of its popularity. But yeah, he's in the position of prayer, as Joseph correctly tells us. You have to flip them upright to see that it's prayer. That's how they did it. But there's a weird thing about his right hand. Doesn't look right. Looks weird. And yes, there's the missing portion there. And that's because Horus, as the falcon hawk, is supposed to be there in its place. And the reason why I say falcon hawk is because you don't understand seed turns into fruit, does not mutate. As the bogus theory of evolution claims. But thousands of years back, we didn't have the number of species that we do today. And so you get these animal lovers who panic and freak out that, oh no, we've exterminated a species. Well, this is because of the kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species categorization of the theory of evolution. Family groups. That's how you need to think of it. And many thousands of years ago, the family was more identifiable. Not so many offshoots, variations. And so the falcon hawk are one and the same when you go back many thousands of years. And so I'm not concerned about whether people demand it's a hawk or a falcon. I don't care. You're wrong. Because you're pulling an anachronism by imposing the current species on the ancient world. It's a naughty no-no. You're biasing your research. And so regardless, the knife, yeah, they use knives. Anybody who tells you otherwise is wrong. Just because others show something other than a knife, like no knife at all, doesn't matter. They used a knife. They also used a little poker thing to stick up your nose, swivel it around, and yank out the brain. But they used the knife to cut open the chest and remove the organs and place them in the sons of Horus. They were jars. The canopic jars. And so, yes, it's perfectly appropriate. And then they'd also do a thing that would have an enema effect. That's part of the mummification process. You gotta get rid of all the fluids. And but Kamambo, because it is the only temple with Sobek and Horus, and even has Sekhmet, yeah, it was an easy match. It's the temple of Kamambo, city of gold, temple of gold. And so, yeah, the sun is considered gold. The desert sand is considered gold. And so the scarab beetle moves dung across the sand as it collects sand, as it rolls along. And so they use the scarab beetle moving the sun across the sky in the same fashion. For that same reason, Scorpion King, you see that being done. So, yeah, this was exciting for me when I got the picture, because I knew exactly what it was about. And so, yeah, you're not going to get this from Nelson. He doesn't even claim to be a translator. He has to get help, and goes to the wrong help, who don't know Hebrew and definitely don't know Egyptian. So, yeah, I'm the one who made this discovery. I am a translator. I've got the gift. And Mormons don't care. They don't believe. But yeah, that claims that the Book of Abraham is not legitimate. No, it is. It is legitimate papyri. They are legitimate scenes. They are translatable, and they aren't fully translated until me. And so despite Wikipedia having a translation in the learning of the Greeks and the language of the Egyptians, okay, good for you. But it's incomplete, and many inaccuracies, because they don't understand how to translate. But Joseph did, and he is correct. Abraham was in Egypt, which corrects the Bible, in case you didn't catch on. Because it always bugged me. Nimrod? Is it Nimrod? Yeah, because the original guy of which he is taken from, which is misspelled. Yeah, the Narmer pellet. He goes out of his family land to settle the land that was supposedly given to Shem, which is why we call Jews Semitic, because they were taken captivity into Babylon. The land of Shem, the name, but the name is Ammon, and it comes from the Ogdod story of Egypt. And so, yeah, there's some confusion in the Bible, but yeah, it was written many thousands of years later than when things actually happened. And so the Roman period authors were screwing it up on purpose to talk about the latter days. And this year specifically, 2023, when the day that shall burn as an oven shall burn the Mormons, because Mormons didn't look for their true prophet, seer, revelator, and translator.